Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Let's get in some front page news. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning, y'all. So many people would argue that President Biden did a much better job addressing reporters at the close of the NATO summit yesterday than his performance against Donald Trump in the debate, while others, I guess like Charlamagne would say, it's much more of the same. During his speech, Biden said he had no plans of dropping out of the race unless his team came back with data figures showing there's no way he could win. Biden continued to defend himself from calls to drop out of the 2024 election. He mistakenly referred to Vice President Kamala Harris as Vice President Trump as he attested to her qualifications. He also slammed former President Donald Trump, saying he's too busy golfing to campaign. He spoke about how polls are inaccurate and also addressed his schedule being so busy, saying he needs to pace himself. But you don't have to take my word for it. Let's hear more from President Biden addressing reporters at the close of the NATO summit.
The consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again. Look, I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president till I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there. My schedule has been full bore. I've done, where's Trump been? Riding around in his golf cart, filling out his scorecard before he hits the ball? I mean, look, he's done virtually nothing. There are at least 5 presidents running or incumbent presidents who had lower numbers than I have now, later in the campaign. What I said was, instead of my every day starting at 7 and going to bed at midnight, it'd be smarter for me to pace myself a little more.
What are your thoughts, guys? I know y'all watched it. You called it a disaster, Charlamagne.
Oh, I mean, I just think the whole campaign is a disaster, not just that, one moment yesterday. But I just think it's time for President Joe Biden to move on. It's the same thing that I've been saying for the past, 18 months. He said it yesterday, that if his team told him he couldn't win, he would drop out. Well, I don't think he can win, so why are we still playing this game?
But not only that, if we know that every time he speaks, he says something, he puts his foot in his mouth every time, right? He says something that's completely wrong, completely left. Why continue to let the brother speak?
Well, no, I think that is the part where I think people overreact, because people mess up names all the time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like literally all of the time.
All of the time, where you calling your vice president Trump?
That was wild.
When you call him the president of Ukraine,
we've all done that. We talk all the time. Have you heard yourself? Have you heard me sometimes?
Yeah, I was going to say we definitely.
I'm not the president. There's a total difference.
But you are human.
Yeah, we are human, but he does it a lot as a president.
My reason for wanting him to move on don't have nothing to do with that. I just say it's 6 different polls that all have him behind Trump. Yes, polls are inaccurate, but our eyes and ears aren't. With everything that's at stake in November, ask yourself a simple question. Can you tell me with a straight face you like his chances?
Yeah, but why are the polls so low? Because of the things that he said, because people don't have any confidence in him. Yes, they don't have any confidence in him. They feel like he's too old. They feel like it seems like early signs of dementia. It feels like he can't make a complete sentence.
It's because they don't feel like he's strong enough on the border. It's a lot of different reasons.
It's more than that, too.
I think people are getting hung up on a lot of different things. It's a bunch of different things. One of the things that a lot of people got hung up yesterday on is that he accidentally introduced President Zelensky, calling him President Putin. Let's hear more about that.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. I'm going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better.
At least he caught himself that time.
I was going to say, he really caught that. He said, what you mean? Big Putin. Oh, my bad. I'm so focused on beating him.
Yeah, and trust me.
Tried to play that one off.
Those optics don't help, but, people don't think he's strong enough on the border. People aren't feeling the relief in their pockets when they talk about, the economy being better. Inflation, it was up, but now it's down a little bit, but people still aren't feeling it in their pockets. People don't like him, funding Israel's military. They don't like the war in Gaza. There's a lot of different reasons folks aren't high on Trump. But I've been asking a simple question for the past 18 months. Is the Biden-Harris ticket a winnable ticket in 2024? I don't think it is. Can you look at me with a straight face and tell me you like his chances in November? When you see him, do you believe in that? Is that what's going to inspire undecided voters? Like, come on.
It doesn't seem like he believes in himself, honestly. It really doesn't. And everything that you said, but then when he speaks, you want him to be powerful. You want him to be aggressive. You want him to be confident. And I just don't see that. And the way that he messes up names makes me feel like he ain't got it all together.
He is an uninspiring candidate with no main character energy. I've been saying that for a long time.
All right.
This comes as multiple Democrats have called for him to step down, but the support, majority of Democrats still are backing Biden in this race. We'll talk more about it in the next hour.
All right. Thank you, Gail. Morgan. I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. Oh, man. All right. We'll see you next hour, Morgan. Everybody else, get it off your chest. 800-585-1051. If you need to vent, phone lines are wide open again. 800-585-1051. Get it off your chest. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up.
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are The Breakfast Club. Now let's get in some front page news. Good morning, Morgan.
Good morning. Good morning. Let's get into it then. So Donald Trump is asking a judge to throw out the guilty verdict in his New York hush money case. His team made the request on Thursday, pointing to the newest Supreme Court ruling that defines when a former president is immune from prosecution. His sentencing in this case was initially set for this week on July 11th, but has been delayed to allow for more time to consider the Supreme Court's decision. In May, the New York jury found Trump guilty of 34 counts of falsifying business records and making hush money payments to adult film star Stormy Daniels. Meanwhile, New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand is pushing two pieces of legislation she says would reform the Supreme Court. It comes after multiple Supreme Court justices were accused of accepting lavish gifts and luxury trips and failing to disclose conflicts of interest. Gillibrand says AOC's articles of impeachment seem reasonable. Let's hear more from Senator Gillibrand.
Together, these bills restore integrity, faith, and trust in our nation's highest court. This legislation makes clear that no one, even Supreme Court justices, are above the law. It's simply outrageous. Federal judges and especially Supreme Court justices should be above reproach. Even the appearance of impropriety undermines the public trust. We need to hold our justices accountable, and we need to limit how long they are allowed to serve. If they've broken laws, if they've certainly had conflicts of interest, those are factual issues that really need to be assessed. And you could assess that in an impeachment process. But it certainly raises grave concerns for me that they are not objective.
Yeah, all of that is above my pay grade. I just know that the Supreme Court, should be what everybody is talking about because they are no longer a legitimate institution. They are corrupt. So, whatever pieces of legislation she's pushing that could reform the Supreme Court, I don't even know what that means, reform the Supreme Court. But whatever it is, something needs to be done. Yeah, break it down for me, Morgan.
Yes, let me tell you. So the bills would require the Supreme Court to create a streamlined and open process to receive ethics complaints and improve transparency around gifts and conflicts of interest. Another bill would rid the Supreme Court justices' lifetime appointments and impose an 18-year term limit. What do you think about that? So that way they wouldn't be able to serve until basically they die or step down.
I don't know, because 18 years is still a long time, and that's a lifetime. A lot of damage can still be done. I believe we need somebody with the courage to expand the Supreme Court. And everybody keeps talking about, you can't pack the Supreme Court. Conservatives already have, and it's not even about just it being majority conservative. It's about the fact that they're so far right. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, Democratic.
And they're supposed to be impartial. They're not.
Yes, Democratic Florida Congressman Maxwell Frost actually entered the chat saying the same thing. He is the youngest member of Congress, the U.S. House of Representatives, and he wrote on X recently that Supreme Court is a right-wing, politically corrupt branch of government operating with no oversight. He adds that Americans deserve a fair, impartial court, not justices who are bought, and paid for by billionaires and special interests. Of course, this comes after New York Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, or AOC, as a lot of people like to affectionately call her, filed impeachment articles against two justices this week, Thomas and Alito. But regardless of all of this, I keep telling y'all, regardless of how you feel, regardless of which side you, just make sure you are registered to vote. The Republican-led House passed legislation on Wednesday that would require voters to provide proof of citizenship when registering to vote. I thought we already did that. But Speaker Mike Johnson said the SAVE Act, which stands for Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, is aimed at preventing non-citizens from swaying federal elections. Let's hear more from Speaker Mike Johnson on the SAVE Act.
But we have so many non-citizens in the country right now that if only 1 out of 100 of those illegal aliens voted, you're talking about hundreds of thousands of votes being cast. President Biden says he's going to veto the bill. And Democrat leadership right now is engaging in a very robust whipping operation to stop this bill from being passed. It is absolutely outrageous, and the American people need to know what's happening here. Should Americans, and Americans alone, determine the outcome of American elections? Or should we allow foreigners and illegal aliens to decide who sits in the White House and here in the People's House and in the Senate?
Passed with a final vote of 221 to 198, with 5 Democrats voting in favor of the measure. It now heads to the Senate, where it faces strong opposition from Democrats. But President Biden said he would veto that bill, and Democrats argue the move would make it harder for Americans to cast their ballot. There's already so much going on with voter suppression as is. Do you think that this could help or hurt the situation?
I don't think there's anything wrong with providing proof of citizenship when registering to vote.
Yeah, I want to say we already do that, right?
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
But
I don't see how that hurts.
So are they saying something other than your license, though? Like you would have to come down with a birth certificate to register to vote, which is crazy. I think that's a little too much. Like nobody wants to come down with a birth certificate. If it's their license, that's cool. But I do get what they're saying, where like Americans should actually decide who's the president of America. But I can't see people bringing their birth certificate down to vote. That just seems a little strange.
Let me ask y'all this. Y'all know where y'all birth certificate is?
Under my mama bed.
Yeah, it's definitely under my mama bed somewhere.
I'm just saying, a lot of people don't. They don't have it within reach, it could be.
But I mean,
it's a concern.
And it is. I mean, it's illegal for people who aren't U.S. citizens to vote in federal contests. So I don't see the problem with having to provide proof of citizenship when registering to vote.
Some felons also can't vote, so there's that. Just saying. All right, y'all. So that's your front page news. I'm Morgan Wood. You can follow me on social media at Morgan Media, MorganMedia. And for more news coverage, be sure you're checking out the Black Information Network at BINnews.com and follow us at Black Information Network. Thank y'all.
The only other thing I too would say, Morgan, is, and not just to Morgan, but everybody listening, a lot of people say non-citizen voting is not even a thing. Like they say it's not.
You can't vote.
It's not widespread or even a significant occurrence. And they say it's already illegal. So I don't know. Maybe people just feel like this is a nothing burger. I don't know.
All right.
We will certainly see. I mean, November is right around the corner, but at the same time, we've got time. So I'll keep you posted.
Thank you, Morgan. Have a good weekend.
Wake that ass up. Early in the morning. The Breakfast Club.